Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, and I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on UFC legend Cain Velasquez, who's been charged with attempted murder after the unthinkable happened to a 4-year-old relative. February 28th, 2022, multiple calls to the San Jose Police Department reported a shooting, specifically stating someone had opened fire into an occupied vehicle at multiple locations. It was 3:14 in the afternoon when police responded, arriving on scene finding a shot-up Chevy Silverado in the area of Madrone and Hale Avenue. The San Jose Fire Department were providing medical treatment to a gunshot victim as police began investigating what took place. The gunshot victim, identified as 63-year-old Paul Blender, was driving with his 40-year-old stepson Harry Gulate in the passenger seat and his son's 65-year-old mother Patricia in the back. As the victim was transported to a nearby medical center, officers spoke with the mother, who stated the shooting suspect had followed their vehicle from their home in San Martin over to Morgan Hill where they went to pick up her son. Making their way to San Jose, that's when the suspect started shooting, making this a crime scene spanning over 11 miles. The mother identified the shooter as former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. Using the California DMV database, officers were able to obtain a photograph of Cain, and the mother positively identified him as the shooter. According to the mother, Cain was driving a black Ford F-250 when he pointed a gun at her son Henry and fired at him. As Cain chased after their vehicle, he was able to close the distance, ramming into theirs while they continued to flee. Still chasing after them, Cain fired 2 shots, striking the driver in his arm and back. It was at that time Cain fled the scene as calls for 911 were made. When asked what the relationship was between the victims and Cain, the mother stated Cain had employed her daycare facility for the last 2 years. Patricia, under the LLC Patty's Child Care, runs a daycare out of her home which has an estimated value of over $2 million. The house features a playground and baseball field in the backyard, making it seem like a child's dream, when in all actuality, it was a house of horrors and a parent's worst nightmare. Just 5 days prior to the shooting, sheriffs responded to the 600 block of Powderhorn Court in San Martin. Detectives from the Sexual Assault Investigations Unit arrived at Patty's daycare, conducting an interview with the 4-year-old victim. It was determined the sexual assault had occurred on multiple occasions and possibly up to 100 times. Patty's son, 40-year-old Harry Gulate, wasn't employed with the daycare, but had been living with his mother and had access to more than 20 children attending the daycare. He was placed under arrest and booked into the Santa Clara County Jail, charged with lewd acts with a child under 14 years old. His bail was set at $50,000, and only 2 days later he was released. But living with his mother, I can only assume it was her that actually paid his bail. The daycare's license has since been suspended, and investigators are working closely with the daycare employees to determine how many kids had previously attended the House of Horrors. Due to a child predator living in the home, the potential for multiple victims remains. Cain Velasquez was arrested by Morgan Hill police officers after locating his Ford truck and conducting a vehicle stop. Cain pulled over and was taken into custody without incident as officers recovered a .40 caliber handgun loaded with 9 rounds and a 10-round magazine, and another magazine found in the center console contained 3 rounds and a 10-round magazine, leaving officers to determine Cain had used his weapon before reloading. 2 spent shell casings sat in the front passenger seat, and the firearm was found to be legally registered to Cain. Cain was then transported to the Santa Clara County Jail, charged with attempted murder, shooting at a motor vehicle, 3 counts of assault with a firearm, 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, willfully discharging a firearm, and carrying a loaded firearm with intent to commit a felony. Since news broke of what took place, the entire MMA community has taken a stance in full support of Cain Velasquez, including Dana White, who stated, "I obviously feel sorry for him and his family. It's a horrible thing. I don't know enough details to speak on it, but from what I've heard, we all say we'd do it if it ever happened to us. Cain did it. Joe Rogan, the UFC's greatest commentator, spoke on the situation on his podcast, stating, "My only wish is that he did it with his hands. My only wish is that he just ran the car off the road, pulled that guy out of the fucking car, and beat him to death." Cain is facing up to 20 years in California State Prison, and while the case against him seems grim, he was also able to retain Mark Geragos, who's considered one of the best lawyers the state of California has to offer, with a history of representing celebrities in high-profile cases. It seems to be understood the likelihood of Cain walking away from this case without punishment is 0 to none. But we're all wishing for the best possible outcome and the most violent punishment for Harry Gulate. It's in question if any charges will fall on the mother and stepfather who allowed Harry to stay in the home, but also gave him unsupervised access to a child, if not multiple children, on multiple occasions. Now, first and foremost, free Cain. As a father of a 4-year-old little girl, I can't fucking imagine. And while many of us will say what we would do, at the same time, I'm sure he's inside of a cell thinking about how right now he can't even comfort his 4-year-old relative in person. I don't know if it's his kid. I don't know if it's a niece, a nephew. I don't know the details on that. It seems that he acted out of emotion. He did what he did. No one's really faulting him for that. He shot into a vehicle with the potential of killing 2 other people, and you can say, oh, they're innocent, they were just the parents. At the same fucking time, they allowed that sick fuck to live in that house at 40 years old, knowing they ran a daycare, and he had access to those children, or at least one child, over 100 times, or up to 100 times, which is insane. To me, responsibility also falls on the parents. That's fucking ridiculous. Now, I hope for the best for Cain. I'm hoping that if they have to do like a 10-year probation or something like that, they do that. They give him the opportunity to get it knocked off after 5 years. I don't think that he needs to go to prison. I don't think he deserves to go to prison. But I'm comfortable in the fact that if he does go to prison, he's gonna be perfectly fine. He's gonna be an outstanding fucking member of the prison society. First off, he's Mexican going to prison in California. He's good off that. Second off, he's a fucking UFC fighter. And I'm sure he'll be fine politicking and, you know, programming, hitting the burpees, this and that, because that motherfucker's in shape. But not only that, he's in there for a solid reason. Nobody's gonna fuck with him. Versus the guy that did this, he's public enemy number 1. And people are gonna wanna take his fucking head off, not only because of the charges, but because of Cain Velasquez. And the fact that he was able to bail out only 2 days after committing this crime, and they're not even sure of the number of child victims, and obviously it was his fucking parents that paid the bail since he had to live with them. I mean, this shit's ridiculous. I'm sure it was them that also put him in another apartment. The fact that they're doing all of this for him is disgusting. And I mean, I'm sure karma's gonna come down on them too. Let me know y'all thoughts and comments in the comment section. Try not to be too graphic with it, because I'm sure YouTube will automatically be just deleting comments that say certain things. And if y'all can find a GoFundMe or any good organization that's selling t-shirts, free Cain, or just putting money towards legal fees, whatever they can do, because technically you can't have a GoFundMe for legal fees, let me know and I'm gonna pin it in the comment section. We're trying to show full support for Cain. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. Till next time.